Today, we'll be talking about American women in World War II. Overview. World War II provided a percentage of opportunities for American women to enter into their jobs that had never been seen before open to women, particularly in the defenseman industry. Women faced challenges in overcoming culture and stoppages and against working for women and finding occupation, childcare, during work in many hours of the minority of women endures the discrimination and desolations of the war years. 300,000 women served in the armed forces during World War II. After the war, many women were fired from factory jobs. Nevertheless, within a few years, 1/3 of the women were older than 14, worked outside of the home. Women on the home front. World War II is often falsely identified as the first time American women worked outside of their homes in large numbers. In fact, a quarter of the women worked outside their home in 1940, before World War II. However, the women's paid labor was largely restricted to traditional female professions, typing, sewing, and most women expected to leave labor force as soon as they had children, if they're not even married soon. World War II had changed both the type of work that women and the volume that they deserved. 5 million women entered the workforce between 1940 and 1945. The gap of the labor force created departure soldier meant opportunities for women, and in particularly, the World War II led many women to take their job defensive plants factories around the world. These jobs provided unprecedented opportunities to move to occupations previously for exclusive men, especially in the aircraft industry, which a minority of the workers were women by 1943. But most of the women in the labor force during World War II did not work in the defense ministry. They worked in other factories, such as jobs, labors, and had held by men. Although women have earned more money than before, it's still less far doing the same jobs like before. Nevertheless, may achieve a degree of financial and self-reliance, and the acting was severely crushed. The challenges of the wartime work. Women, especially mothers, had the dual address role of the workers and mothers of the electorate, and the Roosevelt urged their husband, Franklin D. Roosevelt, to approve the first U.S. government health care facilities under the Community Famine Act of 1942. Eventually, 7 centers serving 100,000 children were built, and the First Lady argued the industry of these leaders should be built like the model of healthcare and for the workers' still efforts, and not to meet or greet of the first healthcare of the working mothers. Some of these cruel resistance of the women of the work of such a male dominated the environment in order to recruit women from the factory jobs. It was domain. It was the government-created propaganda machine, entered the figure as known as the Rosie the Wolf. Rosie was tough yet but famine to release the men, and the demands of war would not make the women to massacre. The minority of women faced the particularly difficulties during World War II era. African American women struggled to find jobs in the defensive although these factories are not allowed for escaped labor to be domestic and serve time for better wages. Women's War. Approximately 300,000 women joined the military during World War II. They worked as nurses, drove trucks, repaired airplanes, performed clinic work, and some were killed in combat or prisoner of war. Over 1,600 female receives a varianted declaration of courage under fire. What do you think? What was the effect during World War II have on women's work? Why is Rosie the symbol of women's strength? And why was she a symbol of the women beauty standards during war? Why is the jobs for women what you want, and why? This is what American women in World War II. Any questions? If yes, let me know. Comments below. Bye.